I actually got a comment and a DM with 2 different au pairs that said basically the same thing. My African parents don't want me to become an au pair. How do I convince them? And I genuinely felt for them because number 1, I know they're not the only au pairs dealing with this. And number 2, I have been in that position. I have told my story of how I became an au pair and how I had to convince my family and what I had to do. And so in today's video, I'm just gonna talk about it and hopefully offer some tips to help you guys. It does suck that you want to become an au pair and you want to go on this adventure and you feel like your family's holding you back, but you love them so much and you still want to honor and respect them and that whole thing. And so I'm just gonna share some tips and points just to get you to understand their point of view and your point of view and maybe how this can help you. And I'll also share some of my story, that way you can see if this can help you. Okay, so the first thing I would do, which I feel like I regret not pushing more on with my family is, and specifically with my mom, is I would sit down and try understand why your mom's saying no. Not the, oh, but just don't, like, sit down with your parents and be like, what about this are you afraid of? What about this is not for, like, are you saying no to? Because with me, like, only when I was here and I had a conversation with my mom, I understood, you know, and I could see the relief when she saw that I was happy. Like, her concern was my safety and like my protection. What if I get kidnapped? What if something happens to me? She knew of people who had been kidnapped and that kind of stuff. And so we don't have family in America, and so she was like, there's nobody I could even just call and be like, yo, go get my kid, she's not safe, that whole thing. So she had a lot of these fears, like, what if I end up in a brothel? What if I get, like, she just had a lot of fears. And I just took it as, oh, she's trying to be protective, she's trying to control me, that whole thing. And if only I sat down and just understood, I think it would have helped the whole process. And so I would say try to sit down and understand without trying to just have answers. Just sit down and understand what's the main reason they don't want you to become an au pair. And then also explain to them, like, this is why you want to become an au pair. As I said in the beginning, which is now step 2, explain to them why you want to become an au pair. Say, like, show them host families that are good, show them au pairs, show them my page, like, obviously I've been here for so long, and so they can know that, you know, I'm doing well. There's a lot of au pairs now, and this is something I regret, taking my mom on this journey. Like, there's a lot of things I did when I was becoming an au pair that I was just like, oh, Miss Independent, this whole thing. But now looking back, I was like, I can't imagine having a daughter and being like, I'm genuinely scared for her life. And she is just like, oh, but I'm carefree, I'm going to live overseas, that whole thing. And so take your parents on the journey. Say to them, like, listen, I want to become an au pair. You can come to all my meetings, you can meet the agencies, like, the agencies are legal, they are legit. You can be in my interviews, or you can sit near and listen to the families I interview with. You can, you know, like, you can see my profile, you can come with me every step of the way, you can see the au pairs online. We can try have, like, I do these calls with host families and au pairs where they, like, I come on, or au pairs like book a call with me, and like we'll sit on the call and I'll like prep them for either their J1 visa or prep them for like interviewing, just like prep them for whatever their problem is. You could book a call and I can help you. I can answer your mom and your dad's questions. I am not in an agency, so I'm not biased to any agency, so that's also an advantage. But you could literally just sit down with them and be like, come ask an au pair, somebody who's been an au pair. Like, I can try to link your parents up with my parents if they want to get like a mom's point of view. But I think try understand where they're coming from and also explain to them the benefits of you becoming an au pair. Say, hey, I will go overseas. In terms of jobs, my CV will look so much better if I work overseas for a bit and come back. You know, like, there's more opportunities overseas. There's like, just explain to them, like, oh my gosh, like, now my mom is so proud because I'm like the first one in my family to come to America. And for her, it's like, what? Like, my daughter. And that's how I said, I was like, can you imagine, like, I'm the first in the family to be like abroad and I'm in America and that whole thing. And so she looked at, she was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like, you took a risk and you're so brave, and I'm glad, you know, like she said, I'm glad you didn't listen to me. and that you knew what you wanted and you pursued it, and you know, like, thank God, you know, like, it turned out great. But I highly regret not taking my mom on the au pair journey. Like, that's one thing I'm always just like, like, I highly recommend taking your parents on the journey with you from the beginning to the end till they leave you at the airport. And when you get in America, check in, call, that kind of stuff. Once you've had an explanation with them, you've understand why they don't want you to become an au pair, you've explained why you want to become an au pair, and like you've showed them healthy au pair agencies, healthy au pairs, healthy host families, like even maybe join au pair groups and like look at host families, or look at host families that are looking for au pairs, and show your mom like, hey, these are the type of people I'll be working for if I become an au pair. Now, if you've done all this, like you've done all your homework, you've spoken to your family, you've proved that it's a legit agency, you'd be safe, it's guaranteed, that there are au pairs that have done it, and still your family is saying no, then that comes down to, okay, you as a person, are you gonna regret looking back in life and looking back at this age and being like, I really wanted to become an au pair and I didn't do it? Because ultimately, like, and this is no disrespect to parents at all, it is your choice. It is definitely your choice to become an au pair. But if you choose to do au pairing, and this is one thing I did, like when my parents kept saying no, 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 I kept pushing it back. And so once I was 23, I was like, it's unfair of me to ask them to fund my au pair journey because they didn't think it was safe and want a wise decision. And so what I did is I just started working, and I just started hustling and saving money, and I paid for my whole au pair journey on my own, which may be something you're gonna have to do if you really want to do it. Now, I must say, your family may not be happy with you at all in the beginning, but they do want the best for you and they do love you. My mom did end up coming to the airport, and she did hug me and she did cry and she was afraid and that whole thing. But I did go with a legit agency and I am safe, and she's glad that I chose my own path. And so this is something where you're gonna have to, like, if you've done all the research, and I hope it doesn't come to this, but if you've done everything to prove to your family that you're gonna be safe and they still saying no, then it comes down to how bad do you want to become an au pair, and are you going to look back in life when you're older, when you're above the age limit, and regret it? Because you could come and be an au pair and the same thing could happen. Your actual family could be like, oh my gosh, we're so proud of you, whatever, or they could be mad that you actually dishonored them or just didn't listen. And so yeah, ultimately it is your choice at the end of the day, and it is still your life. But I get wanting to respect and honor your parents. And if they are like, unless you have like some type of, oh, you health problems, you always need to be with someone, you know, like those kind of concerns, I don't know. And as I said to you, I hope it doesn't get to a point where you have to choose between your family and au pairing, because that was not my case. Like, as much as my mom and them were still like nervous, afraid, didn't want me to do whatever, once I said to them that, okay, I'm going on this date, I have a host family, everyone caught up, and like they threw me a bunch of farewell parties, they took me to the airport, they constantly checked up, they got me gifts, and they were happy that I chose my own path. And she's definitely proud that I actually still went through with it, because they kept saying I was talking about it and they didn't think I was gonna go through with it because just of the backlash and the no, and I finally did it. And so it may be the same thing for whoever's watching this video. You may come against like a push from your parents, and once you say yes, or once you've done it, or once you've matched, it could be like, okay, she's definitely doing it, so we just have to go on board with her. And so yeah, I really pray it doesn't get to the point where you lose your family over au pairing, or you know, but at the same time it's still your life, and if this is your dream, I highly recommend doing it. If you're gonna look back and resent your parents or be like, if only I did it, then jump, and I promise you, you're gonna love it. Make sure you go with a legit agency. Watch the videos I have of 10 legit agencies. I'll put the picture on the screen. Don't go with a Dodge agency. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I pray it works out for you and your family. As I said earlier, you guys can book a call and I can sit with your family and discuss it, because I know what it feels like and it sucks, but it worked out for me and I'm hoping it works out for you.